The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel is an exploration of the complexities surrounding our relationship with money. Unlike traditional finance books that focus on numbers, charts, and technical strategies, this book takes a more philosophical and psychological approach, emphasizing the role of human behavior in determining financial outcomes. The fundamental idea in Housel's work is that financial success isn't about being intelligent or knowing the right strategies. It's about how you behave. Managing money well doesn't necessarily require a high IQ, but it does require patience, restraint, and an understanding of the human psychology that drives decision-making. Housel opens the book by introducing a concept that is central to his philosophy. Managing money is more about your behavior than your financial knowledge. You could be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't control your impulses, manage risk, or understand the psychological forces driving your decisions, you're likely to struggle with money. This is a crucial insight because, traditionally, wealth is thought to be the product of intelligence and strategy, while Housel makes the case that behavioural issues are the real determining factor. This idea leads directly into one of the key arguments in the book. We all view money through the lens of our own personal experiences. Housel calls this personal history bias, which simply means that our attitudes towards money are shaped by the particular time and place we grew up, our experiences with wealth or poverty, and the social and economic conditions that have influenced us. For instance, someone who lived through the Great Depression may see money as something fragile, requiring extreme caution and saving, while someone who grew up during an economic boom may see it as something easily gained and lost, encouraging a more risk-seeking attitude. There is no universally right or wrong approach to money because everyone's experiences are different. Therefore, personal finance is not about following a one-size-fits-all plan. It's about understanding your own biases and making choices that align with your life experience and values. Housel's examination of money and luck is particularly illuminating. He argues that financial success often comes down to luck, timing, and circumstances that are beyond our control. People like to think that their success is entirely the result of hard work and intelligence, but that view is dangerously simplistic. Housel tells the story of Bill Gates and his rise to become one of the richest men in the world. Gates is undoubtedly brilliant, but his success was also the result of being in the right place at the right time. Gates attended one of the only high schools in the country with access to a computer, giving him an early start in programming. While Gates maximised the opportunity, it was sheer luck that put him in that position in the first place. For every success like Gates, there are countless equally brilliant and hard-working people who didn't get the same lucky breaks. In financial terms, this means we should be humble about our success and cautious when imitating the financial strategies of others, because much of their success could be due to circumstances you can't replicate. Luck and risk, Housel explains, are two sides of the same coin. Just as luck can lead to great success, risk can derail even the best-laid financial plans. People often assume that with enough effort and knowledge, they can eliminate risk from their financial lives. But Housel stresses that risk is inevitable, and attempting to avoid it completely is not only impossible, but counterproductive. The key is to manage risk, rather than trying to eliminate it. This means accepting that setbacks will happen, and preparing for them through saving and diversification, rather than trying to predict the future or avoid all possible risks. Understanding this balance between luck and risk helps you make better decisions because it removes the illusion of total control. One of the most compelling ideas in the Psychology of Money is Housel's distinction between being rich and being wealthy. Most people think of the two terms as synonymous, but Housel argues they are very different. Being rich means having a high income or a lot of material possessions, big houses, luxury cars, expensive vacations. But being wealthy is something else entirely. Wealth, as Housel defines it, is the money you don't see. It's the investments, savings, and financial security that allow you to have freedom and control over your time. The trouble is, wealth is invisible, while being rich is highly visible. This leads to a common financial trap. People often spend their money to appear rich instead of focusing on building wealth. This distinction between being rich and being wealthy is closely tied to the idea of enough. Housel suggests that one of the most important lessons in managing money is knowing when to stop, when you have enough. The problem is that modern society is obsessed with more money, more status, more luxury. But the pursuit of more often leads to excessive risk-taking and eventually financial ruin. Housel provides several examples of wealthy people who lost everything because they couldn't resist the temptation to chase more. He explains that the ability to define enough for yourself and to stick to it is one of the most valuable financial skills you can develop. It's about contentment, not complacency, knowing what truly matters to you and not being swayed by societal pressures to constantly upgrade your lifestyle. Another powerful concept that Housel addresses is the role of compounding in building wealth. Compounding is often described as one of the most powerful forces in finance, and Housel agrees, but he goes beyond the math to explore the psychology of why compounding works. He uses the example of Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, to illustrate the point. While Buffett is a brilliant investor, what really sets him apart is that he started investing when he was a child and has continued to invest for decades. The majority of his wealth was accumulated in the later years of his life, not because his returns suddenly skyrocketed, but because compounding requires time to show its true power. This leads to one of Housel's most important insights. Wealth is not built through extraordinary returns, but through ordinary returns sustained over a long period of time. Most people fail to realize this because they're looking for quick gains and shortcuts. But the real secret to wealth is time. The importance of time and patience also ties into Housel's ideas about saving. In today's consumer-driven culture, people often see saving as something you do for a specific goal: retirement, a home, a vacation. But Housel argues that saving should be a habit, not tied to any particular goal. Saving is about creating flexibility and optionality in your life. The more you save, the more freedom you have to make choices, whether that's quitting a job you hate, starting a business, or simply handling an unexpected financial emergency. This kind of financial flexibility gives you peace of mind, which is far more valuable than any material possession. Moreover, it's the key to surviving financial downturns. Housel makes the case that while investing is important, saving is often overlooked as one of the most critical components of financial success. Having money set aside gives you the ability to weather storms, both personal and economic, without having to take drastic measures. Housel also addresses the concept of financial independence, which he defines not as a number or a certain amount of wealth, but as having control over your time. The ultimate goal of wealth, he argues, is freedom. Freedom to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want. This is a profound idea because it reframes the entire purpose of accumulating wealth. Many people think that the goal is to accumulate as much money as possible, but Housel shows that money is only valuable insofar as it allows you to live the life you want. This perspective encourages a shift away from mindlessly pursuing more wealth to thinking about what kind of life you want to lead and how money can help you achieve that. Another critical lesson in the book is the idea of humility and adaptability in financial decision-making. Housel stresses that no one can predict the future with certainty, and this includes the stock market, interest rates, inflation, or any other economic factor. The best-laid financial plans will inevitably encounter unexpected events, and the key to long-term success is being adaptable. Rather than sticking rigidly to a plan in the face of new information, Successful financial management requires the ability to adjust and change course when necessary. Housel uses the example of financial forecasts to make this point. They are notoriously unreliable because the future is unpredictable. The lesson here is that you should never rely on anyone else's predictions or think you can see the future yourself. The only certainty is uncertainty, and your financial plans should reflect that by building in flexibility and room for error. Housel also emphasizes the importance of not being influenced by what others are doing with their money. This is especially relevant in an age where social media amplifies the visibility of other people's lifestyles, creating a constant temptation to compare and compete. But Housel explains that everyone is playing a different game with their money, based on their own life circumstances, goals, and values. What works for one person may not work for another, and trying to follow someone else's financial path is often a recipe for frustration and failure. Instead of worrying about what others are doing, the focus should be on developing a financial strategy that works for your unique situation. One of the book's most profound insights is that money itself is an emotional and psychological tool. We often think of it in purely rational terms, something that can be quantified and measured. But in reality, money is deeply tied to our emotions, identity, and sense of security. This is why people make irrational financial decisions, even when they know better. Fear, greed, envy, and insecurity often drive financial behaviour more than logic or reason. Understanding this is key to managing your emotions around money and learning to separate your financial decisions from your emotional reactions. Housel suggests that financial success is more about controlling your emotions and impulses than about making the right technical moves. In closing, the psychology of money offers a fresh and deeply insightful look at how we think about money and wealth. Morgan Housel's core argument is that financial success is not about intelligence or technical know-how, it's about behaviour. He encourages readers to develop patience, discipline, and self-awareness in their approach to money, recognising that emotions, personal history, and human psychology play a far greater role in financial outcomes than we often acknowledge. True wealth, Housel argues, isn't just about having money. It's about having control over your time, your choices, and your life. By understanding and managing the psychological forces that drive our financial decisions, we can build not just wealth, but lasting financial security and peace of mind.